Well, hello there. Today, we're going to be talking about OpenClaw and how this one person open source project went from zero to being bought by OpenAI in 84 days. It's such an insane story to me that I just had to cover it. And a ton of people actually have been asking me to do an OpenClaw tutorial, and I am working on it. It's gonna be very similar to my 50 tips video for Claude Code. But for these kind of projects, I wanted to do it justice. So I'm diving really deep into it. So it's gonna take a little time, but it will definitely be worth it. But in the meantime, I thought I would bring you guys this story in case you are not already up to speed, because I think it's just a fascinating story. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. So let's first start off with Peter Steinberger. I think most people know of him as just like an entrepreneur. You know, he's like a really good coder as well, but he had $100 million exit already on his work on PDF kit. Honestly, it's kind of hard to say for me. But yeah, he worked on this project, 10, 13 years or so, bootstrapped it. I think he had a little bit of like investor money at some point, but mostly bootstrapped. And it powers 1 billion devices, which is very cool. I always think if you can work on something that affects 1 billion people, that kind of scale kind of changes how you think about projects and software. But if you just know this about Peter, I think it doesn't paint the full picture of his personality. And I feel like watching a lot of his podcasts that he did with like Gergely or Lex Fridman or even Peter Yang, I just feel like he's kind of this like very eccentric and kind of like a little bit crazy, fun person to hang out with. But yeah, I really like his energy. And because of that, I really just started to like look at a lot of his blog posts, and I read a lot of it. And I feel like a lot of his personality comes out from his writing. And I wanted to share a little bit about some of the interesting snippets that I got from his writing here before we go into the timeline for OpenClaw. So I would say that one of the most interesting things was that he defined himself as like a Claudoholic, as if like Claude Code is a drug. And there was this moment about Claude Code being like a slot machine.
Oh, it's the same economics as you go to a casino. It's my little slot machine.
There's some addictive aspect of it, and I could relate so much to this, especially before Opus 4.5 came out. Sometimes you just have to like spin the wheel and try some different prompts, or like start a new session and then try to like prompt it a different way. And I do feel like Claude Code sometimes does have this aspect. I think the new model, like the 4.6 models, takes a little bit more time and reads more code before it starts. But yeah, like the Sonnet versions definitely are a little trigger happy. And it's funny, he even created a meetup called like Claude Code Anonymous. So if you read a lot of his blog posts, he paints himself as very eccentric, like goblin-like character that's just like coding in his cave and just going crazy. And I don't know, I just thought that was a very interesting take. I wouldn't expect like a CEO of a company that had a huge exit to be like this. And another really interesting aspect that I got of his writing was that he worked insane hours, 16-hour days, and he is actively pushing like agentic coding, using like 4 to 10 instances of Claude Code at the time. I know he switched over to Codex, but yeah, he was just actively trying to push it as far as he can. There was a really cool quote that he said in the Lex Fridman podcast where he said,
I sometimes posted the meme, I'm limited by the technology of my time. I could do more if agents would be faster.
It's kind of crazy. I thought I used Claude Code a lot, but he is definitely on another level. Like he has multiple max plan accounts. That's kind of to me a little crazy. Of course, at work, I have like endless unlimited tokens. So I do kind of work like how it's describing when I'm at work. But yeah, at home, I'm very limited. So that's a little bit about him. I hope you got kind of a good picture of him before we get started, but let's get right into the timeline. And of course, we need to start from when he had his $100 million exit, with PDF kit. I just think that this is like the dream for most people, right? It's an end game. Like, what would you guys do with $100 million? I don't know if I would be coding still. I do enjoy like building stuff and using AI. I'll definitely be using AI, but I don't know if my primary way of making money would be coding. I'll probably still do this YouTube channel because I really like making YouTube videos, but I definitely will like just be spending time with my family, maybe going camping more often. But yeah, what would you guys do with $100 million? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, he had $100 million exit and he just walked away from everything, his company. And the reason for him just walking away, he mentioned that he was extremely burnt out.
I was just burning too hard. I was working most weekends. I tried to shuffle all my managerial needs.
And he basically spent 3 years not coding at all, no open source, no conference talks or anything. And essentially, he was just traveling. He went to Madrid and like London and things like that. But he did mention that this was like one of the hardest period of his life because he had like such identity in his company. And one of the interesting thing was like he was saying that he was burnt out because like just something has changed. Like he didn't believe his project as much as he used to. And I really relate to this. Like sometimes I feel like I'm burnt out when I'm working on a project that doesn't really align with what I want to work on. Or if my headspace is somewhere else, but I need to be focusing on something else. I'm like forced to focus on something else. That's when I'm really burnt out. It happened maybe like 1 year ago when I was really burnt out working on some AI stuff and some like insane deadlines. But it was like a project that I fundamentally didn't believe in. That was the thing that was like the hardest for me. But I think Peter was going through the same thing after spending so much time on his PSPDF kit company. But at some point, when he came back, he found the spark again. And he made a post about it. And I thought it was like really cool that his spark is just like a consistent GitHub stars. But essentially, when he came back, he just essentially opened his laptop and discovered that AI was a thing. And like Claude Code was a thing. And this wasn't even like when Opus 4.5 came out. But that means he was kind of like mixing vibe coding. I still feel like before Opus 4.5, a lot of that work, it was more vibe coding. I feel like the tools weren't ready enough, or maybe I didn't give it enough a chance. But the thing is, every year since all of this AI coding stuff was a thing, I try to build every like holidays. I always try to build like a full app and try to launch it to the App Store. And last year, I actually built an entire like anime Pomodoro app using Cursor. And I just remember being really frustrated with that experience. Like at the time, Cursor had this weird thing where it couldn't even like add the files properly into Xcode. It would generate it, but you have to still like drag and drop it. The MCPs were just like kind of weird. I don't know. It was just like not a great experience. I still ended up releasing the app, but yeah, I remember after that, I was just like, it's not ready. And until like Opens 4.5, like in November or so, I was still coding everything by hand. So honestly, it's not that long since I have stopped coding manually, but it was crazy to me that Peter was going ham on all of this like Claude Code stuff even back then. So he was definitely ahead of the curve in this one. But during that time in 2025, he basically made 43 projects. Like that's insane to me. And I think a lot of them was like apps, random apps, bots, tools, like prototypes. So I think in the world of vibe coding and like AI coding, I do think it's not that big a deal. But one thing that was really interesting to me is that he made a lot of CLI tools. And this kind of is very interesting point that I want to make because OpenClaw actually leverages a ton of CLI tools. In a lot of his interviews, he was saying that like if he couldn't find that AI can do something, he would build a CLI tool so that the agent could use it. So he was building these like little skills just so that the agent could use it. So it would like unblock their friction points. And to me, this is like the foundations of agentic engineering. But it's kind of interesting that he discovered it on his own because it just worked. In my opinion, it's better than like very heavy MCP. I think CLI tools are more deterministic and like naturally CLIs has a way to like list all of the things that it knows how to do kind of semantically. So yeah, it's interesting. And I do think like CLI might be the future of a lot of interfaces where companies will start moving a lot of their like APIs or MCPs that they were working on into CLIs. And then basically agents will just use CLIs to directly work with like a company's project. So if your company doesn't have really good CLI integrations, you might be left out in the future. But yeah, in November, he launched his 44th project, which was Clawdbot, which is very similar to Claude, which will come up in the story. But basically, it started out as an open source AI agent. And I think he rebranded some of his older projects that was like more WhatsApp specific and like Relay specific and something called like Relay into something that was more just like generic. And one of the cool things is like he was still just having fun and trying to be weird. And that's why he named it Clawdbot with like the lobsters and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. I don't know. I love the fact that it's a lobster. I don't know why. But yeah, like this Clawdbot, it was still very early in the days and it could send emails, schedule things with cron jobs, look at the calendars. It's mostly written in TypeScript. And the interesting thing is that for the first 2 months or so, basically no one knew about it. And I think this is one of the most universal things about almost everything in life, that people build silently for a long time. And then at some point things blow up and everyone knows about it. It's so crazy that how things like that work. I mean, even my YouTube channel, I've been working on it silently for like 7 years, but it was only since like last year that people started to actually care about the videos that I've been making. I don't know, maybe it's just because I got better at making videos. If you ever go and look at my old videos, kind of sucks ass. So beginning of January in 2026, that's when Clawdbot started to go viral. It got to 9K or so GitHub stars, which is already really impressive for a brand new open source project. But there was this moment in like 48 hours around end of January where it went from 9K stars to like 106K stars, which officially makes it the fastest growing like open source project in GitHub history. And it's kind of insane to me. I think it's sitting at like 244K stars right now of this moment. I don't know. It's kind of insane to me. And I feel a little weirded out by it. I don't know. Maybe I'm always a little skeptical when things grow a little bit too fast. To give you some perspective, I think Linux has 220K stars. So, I mean, it's Linux, right? Like I have a Linux machine here too, but it's Linux. Like it should, I don't know. I think I like OpenClaw and everything, but Linux should have more stars. If anything, you should give a star right now. Pause this video, give Linux a GitHub star, tell 10 of your friends to do it, and then so forth. I don't know. I just think it doesn't sit right with me that like Linux doesn't have more stars than just a AI coded project. Not that I'm ragging on like AI coding, but I just think it's important that Linux has more stars. But anyways, I hate topics like this where it says a weekend project because it wasn't a weekend project. Like essentially, Peter has been working on it for like the whole year on all these different projects. And also he is a really strong engineer and he's been actively working on it. But yeah, there's an interesting thing in one of the podcasts. He mentioned that he felt a storm coming when he, or around this time, like around the 9K stars.
Yeah, in January, this was my main focus because I saw the storm coming.
So he was working insane hours just to get this project to a state that is like kind of not MVP, but like ready, more prime time. And it worked. It like blew up. Time to 10K stars. I really like this slide that I made because it just gives you a perspective, right? Like Linux is one thing, but React took 4 years to get to 100K. TensorFlow took 3 years. Like put those into perspective. Like OpenClaw is cool and everything, but these projects has so much more, impact. I don't know. I just think it's, we need to make the world right, in my opinion. And with virality, of course, issues come up. Clawdbot being too similar to Claude became a problem for Anthropic, so they sent him a cease and desist. I think it was just a letter. It wasn't like a lawsuit or anything. I think Peter mentioned it was a very friendly letter.
And just when it exploded, I got a very friendly email from one of the employees that they didn't like the name.
But they still wanted him to change it within like 48 hours, which is like kind of crazy, right? If you ever ran like social media, you know how annoying it is to get the same handle for like everything. Like my name is John Kim, so I can't get like a good handle. So I changed it a few times and right now it's John Kim Life. But even that, like, I don't like. And it's not John Kim Life everywhere. Like, sometimes it's like real John Kim or sometimes it's Johnny K Vids. And I don't know. I'm pretty bad about this kind of stuff. But it goes to show that, like, these things matter. Like, especially if you have any kind of social presence. Because when Peter changed this to Moltbot. And then he said that he had these like all these kind of like agentic flows ready to like do the changes really quickly, but it all failed. So when he changed it to Moltbot, the crypto bros started showing up and taking all these like bad actors showed up and took all of the Clawbot handles and then started posting a bunch of things that should not be there. And obviously it was crypto bros, because crypto people, they're always trying to ruin things. And they created a fake Claude token on Solana and then just started to say that like Peter was using this to fund OpenClaw, right? Because he was actually losing money like every day, just like on this project. But yeah, they created a fake Claude token. It grew to 16 million in market cap. And then it just crashed. Of course, rug pulls, right? But it's crazy because they were infiltrating his discourse, spamming him, trying to hack him, trying to prompt inject him. It's kind of like very sad, honestly. Very sad. I feel like crypto bros always ruin everything. And, to be honest, because of this, the GitHub stars, I have like a question mark on the GitHub stars. I feel like it's very sus a little bit that it is that high. Obviously, it's not Peter's fault or anything, but this is like the typical crypto bro, like crypto play where they pump up something, get it super viral, get people to FOMO, and then do some scams, pump up the value of a coin or whatever, and then dump. That's like the typical playbook. So I don't know. I don't really care about all of this. It sucks that this happened. But yeah, that's why the GitHub stars, I don't know. I question it a little bit. But yeah, I remember the news cycle of this. But even this news cycle, I think like made OpenClaw even more popular because more people were like looking into it because of the news, No such thing as bad publicity, right? I don't really believe that, but but yeah, it's very sad. Like in Lex Fridman's podcast, he said these people who said they were trying to help him, they just lied and they were just making him miserable, his online life miserable.
Having people that claim they help me, making my life miserable in every possible way.
Hijacking his names, hijacking his accounts, and it just sucks, man. Like I just think we can't have nice things because crypto bros. And it's funny because even with Moltbot, he was like secretly doing another rebrand because he said he didn't really like, which is funny because in that like small period of time, there was something called Notebook that's basically already dead, but it's like agents talking to each other. Turned out to be just a bunch of people telling their agents to say like random viral stupid stuff. But yeah, he had this plan to rebrand OpenClaw and he actually called Sam Altman to clear the name because, OpenAI, OpenClaw. It would have been funny if he did it and then got a cease and desist again. But anyways, yeah, I think Sam was like very open to it. And this time the rebrand happened without like much hiccups. And it basically found this like forever name, OpenClaw. I think I like OpenClaw better than Clawdbot actually. I don't know. It just sounds better. I think I like the claw aspect of it. But yeah, Clawbot to Moltbot to OpenClaw in 72 hours. Like it's insane. It's so wild. That I remember reading during this time, I wanted to make a video about it, but I always try to not make a video until like kind of the dust has settled on these things. I'm sure I could get a lot more views if I do, but number one, I'm busy. I work full time, so I can't do news in a news cycle. But I always feel like if I jump on something too early, then I always miss something. I end up having takes that are not very well thought out or where I don't have like more information. So I always try to wait a little bit more and I'm okay with not getting more views because of it. But yeah, so in 84 days from launch, it hit 200,000 stars. And like I said, it's crazy that it's this popular. I mean, it's a very interesting project. I think there's a lot of novel composition of existing agentic systems. But yeah, it's so crazy to me. And at the end of all of this, Sam Altman made an offer to Peter that I guess he couldn't refuse. People apparently said it might be somewhere in the billions, which is crazy to me. But yeah, he was courted by the usual suspects. But I think the fact that he was able to name it like OpenClaw, I don't know. I would have been like, oh yeah, this is cool. But I think one of the big stipulation for this deal was that OpenClaw had to remain open source. But I don't think Sam cares, right? I think OpenAI just wants to work with Peter. And I think rightfully so. Peter has a very unique way of thinking, I think. And his style and all of the things that I've heard in his interviews, it's really interesting the way he's thinking about all of this like agentic engineering and the way we should be like moving as like organizations and like engineers. But yeah, Sam Altman wrote, Peter Steinberger is joining OpenAI to drive the next generation of personal agents. He's a genius with a lot of amazing ideas about the future of very smart agents interacting with each other to do very useful things for people. We'll expect this will quickly become core to our product offerings. OpenClaw will live in the foundation as an open source project that OpenAI will continue to support. The future is going to be extremely multi-agent, and it's important to us to support open source as part of that. But yeah, I think Sam should change his profile picture, to be honest. Isn't that like a few years ago, like the Ghibli thing? I always found that a little interesting because like I know Miyazaki doesn't like AI art at all. But yeah, we don't know for sure, but I think this might be actually the first billion-dollar solo project in the world of AI. It's an insane time to be alive. It's crazy. Maybe I will one day have a billion-dollar project. Most likely not. I would probably be making like silly and fun YouTube videos forever. But yeah, it's a crazy time to be alive. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this coverage of OpenClaw. I like to do these kind of like coverage of very interesting topics in the AI world. I did one recently on Boris's personal setup, and I go through all of his like thread posts and like actually show it. So go and check that out. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, check out my other playlists on AI coding and software development. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And until I see you guys on the next one,